Hi, I'm Sara Lovecraft with Gemcraft Studio here at Shop LC, and today we're creating a beautiful pair of cha-cha style earrings that are perfect for spring or anytime you want to add a little sparkle. For today's project, we're going to be using a handful of our basic tools. You're going to need your cutter tool for cutting your wire. You're going to need your round nose pliers for creating simple loops. And you're going to need either your chain nose pliers or your bent chain nose pliers for opening and closing your simple loops. The beads that we're going to be using in today's project are a beautiful combination of coin-shaped freshwater pearls and crystal bicone beads in green. To get started, we are going to be creating some simple loops on head pins and with an eye pin. The simple loops are going to work the exact same way in both scenarios with just a slight adjustment when we are doing it with the eye pins. So let's get started. You're going to take that pearl and you're going to use a head pin. The head pin does not have a loop on the end. Sometimes head pins are flat, but in this case we're using one that has a ball on the end. That's going to help keep our bead from falling off. You're going to thread the bead onto the head pin. And it may take a little coaxing with your chain nose pliers because pearls are notorious for having very small drill holes. So use your pliers if you need to help to bring the bead down to the bottom of the head pin. Then you're going to take one of the crystal bicones and thread that on to the top of the bead. You have a little bit of wire sticking out at the top here. We're going to use that to create what is called a simple loop. Using your chain nose pliers, you're going to grab the wire right where it is exiting the top bead. For us, that top bead is our bicone, and the pliers are resting right on the top of that bicone bead. I'm going to hold the bead steady in my left hand, and using my dominant hand, which for me is my right hand, I'm going to bend the wire right where it is exiting that bead. So the bend in the wire happens right as it comes out of the bead. You don't need any extra space in there. Then we're going to use our cutter tool to trim off some of the wire here. Now for this head pin, we don't have a lot of wire, so we don't need to trim a lot, but if you're using a larger head pin or you're using a larger eye pin, lengthwise, you will need to trim a little bit more. But for us, we're just going to snip a little of this off, leaving ourselves about 1/4 of an inch of wire. Now I'm not using anything to measure with, I'm just kind of guessing. But the width of my finger is usually about 1/4 of an inch of wire. Everybody's fingers are a little bit different. Just figure out where that 1/4 of an inch lands on your finger and it will become just natural for you to get used to cutting in that same spot. So once I have trimmed off and left myself about 1/4 of an inch of wire, I'm going to use my round nose pliers to create what is called a simple loop. I'm going to grab the wire with the jaws of the round nose pliers, and then holding the beads steady, I'm going to roll the pliers back towards the beads to create a loop. If you're a beginner, don't get frustrated. Simple loops take a lot of practice and a lot of times look more like eggs than round circles. So don't worry if that's the case. This project is very forgiving. If it is shaped more like an egg, nobody's going to notice. The most important part of this is making sure that your loop is closed. Set this to the side and we're going to create 2 more pieces that also have the simple loops with head pins. So pick up a head pin and one of your crystal bicones and thread that on to your head pin. We're going to repeat that process with 1 more of our bicones. So pick up another head pin, thread on your bicone bead, and let's follow the same steps. Grab the wire right where it is exiting the bead, bend the wire 90 degrees, come in with your cutter tool, trim, leaving yourself about 1/4 of an inch of wire, and then again, use your round nose pliers to grab the wire, and you're going to roll back to create a simple loop, making sure that your loop is closed. Now we're going to work with the eye pin and we are going to create the top section of our earring. So the eye pin is the one that has the loop on the bottom. You're going to take the eye pin and your coin pearl and you're going to thread your pearl onto the eye pin. And again, you may need to use your pliers just to help guide that pearl onto the wire. Sometimes it is a little bit of a tight fit. You're going to drop that down and then you're also going to use a bicone on the top. So thread that on. This is a little bit different because we already have a loop that exists here. We're going to actually be opening and closing some of these loops in just a few minutes. But the most important part of this is that the loop that we create on the top needs to be going in the opposite direction of the loop that is on the bottom. So in other words, if you are looking at the piece and the loop of the eye pin is facing towards you, the loop on the top needs to be facing away from you, which kind of makes it easy to create because you can hold everything in place, holding that loop if you want to with your fingers, and then create the loop by bending the wire in the opposite direction. So you can see the loop is facing me and I have bent the wire exiting the bead away from me. So it doesn't make a huge difference, but the direction of those loops is very important when putting this earring together. Now the steps for the loop that we're going to create are exactly the same. You're going to come in with your cutter tool, and again you're going to trim, leaving yourself about 1/4 of an inch of wire. And then you're going to again use your round nose pliers to grab that wire and roll back to create a loop. When you look at your loops, they should be facing in opposite directions. So one of the loops is facing towards you and one of the loops is facing away. Now we're ready to assemble the earring. And we're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. So we are going to start with the pearl and the bicone that we started with on the head pin. We're going to take our chain nose pliers and we're going to grab that simple loop to the side. Very similarly to the way that we would open or close a jump ring, we're going to hold the beads in place and then we are going to use our pliers to walk the loop open. Now that the loop is open, we can thread things onto it. We're going to thread one of our bicones. Then we're going to thread the bottom loop of our pearl and bicone combo. And lastly, we're going to thread on another bicone. Once we have all of those on, we're going to use our chain nose pliers to walk our simple loop closed. Close that back. Make sure that it is completely closed so that none of your beads will slip off. And we are almost finished. The last step is just to add our ear wire. Use your chain nose pliers to open the loop of the bottom of your ear wire the same way you did your simple loops. Twist to open, and then thread on the top loop of your earring. Use your chain nose pliers and twist to close, and your earring is complete. I hope you have enjoyed today's project. I'm Sara Lovecraft here with Gemcraft Studio at Shop LC. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future projects, and let me know in the comment section what style earrings would you like to see.